On this episode, we're making door panels. Beep! So for this project, we'll be using 1/8" plywood. It probably is one of the best materials. They have other stuff called Luan, or you could use like an ABS plastic or even aluminum sheet, but I'm cheap, so we're using this. Just make sure that you seal the back when you're done with either some sort of a, it might be varnish or a piece of plastic or something, just so it doesn't warp if it gets wet. Let's get started. Back to the normally scheduled program. Watch out for that. All right, so we're going to fit some of the door panels, get them all set up on here so that way she can keep moving here. So here's my door panel. I'll get these knocked out real quick, and that way she can keep stitching and I can keep making a floor, or start making a floor. So I've got these little clips here that are all here in good shape. So I need to fit the board in between all the clips, drill the hole out for the handles, and then start plotting what to do here. Hopefully that shouldn't take too long anyway. So fitting door panels is a little bit of a challenge. So I got all the clips I gotta line up, so I can figure out where to put them, which at the moment here is just irritating me. There you go. I need to cut all this area out here where my handles are. It's looking a little better. Now I'll try to align on the clips to test it. Hopefully. Alrighty, this is looking better. I got the clips popped in there. I just need to line these up. Make sure I have the proper spacing. So it looks like I'm probably 1/2 inch too long on the panel. Because you can't have the edge of the panel too close to the door. Otherwise, when you open and close the door, it'll just rip the panel off. Screw it all up. So it does take a little bit of extra effort to fit these. These are little things when you go to pay for an upholstery and they give you a quote of $15,000. These are the things that just add up. Which is why I've learned to do my own upholstery. Because that way, if I screw it up, well, it's just on me. So that's what these little clips look like. The panel goes through there, that snaps through the hole there. So when you put these things on the edge here, you need to take and cut a little notch so that when the clip goes on there, shoot it across the floor here. Let's try that again. I love one-handed camera. Let's try that. Cut a little notch so you don't feel the edge there. Otherwise, when you wrap the upholstery around, you'll actually see a bulge there, and we don't want that. So you just take and just do a little right there, a little and then it'll sit flush and then it won't be noticeable. So this is how we're looking. So this will all be green metal flake, green vinyl, decorative vinyl, velvet. 4 textures per door. Now that I got that one nice and fitting good, I only got to do 4 more. So 5 or 10 minutes max. Alright, so these here are panel clip remover tools. And this is what you need to get these things out without causing any damage. You're just pulling this thing, you'll end up busting all the wood, so pretty important. Oh shit. Also, don't forget, I gotta figure out where the hole is for the door opener. You definitely don't want to forget to put that in there, because it'll suck to have to cut through the upholstery to put it on there. Trust me, I know from experience many times. So when drilling your hole for your door handle, you got to make sure that you have enough room for your escutcheon to go and your door handle. Now these are designed for material that's probably about 1/8 of an inch thick from the factory, so if you're adding something thicker, which we're adding 1/2 inch foam, then I need to make sure that I drill a hole large enough that this thing will actually set inside a little bit and not be too cumbersome. Otherwise you'll never get the handle on. And in some cases you have to just take the shank off the door openers and extend them so you can clear all your upholstery stuff. So now that I got all these squared up, all the edges sanded, everything notched, now the 2 top panels I'll take and cut these patterns out, so I'll be left with just the perimeter. It's important to use a nice smooth blade. It'll just destroy this stuff. And a very thin one. Alright, so what I've done here is this is the main panel. So we'll glue our decorative fabric here, we'll glue our velvet here, and then this here will get 1/4 inch foam on it and wrapped with vinyl. That way it'll go and lay down over for this fabric, and vinyl, and this will attach down there, so you have a multi-layered, very easy to fabricate door panel. This is a much easier way of doing things than sewing everything together and trying to get it to lay flat, which would be very difficult. You could do this in multiple textures, multiple layers, and just stack it all together. Very easy way to do door panels. I'll go give these a lower and have her wrap them up. So the next thing we're going to do here is I have all these pieces that I cut out that will glue to the bottom of the flat panel. Alright, so the next part of this adventure, this is my back panel. Oh, by the way, make sure you make a left and a right and not just 2 lefts or 2 rights, because it sucks to do it twice. I cut strips here and glued them down, so that way when this fabric goes on here, it will staple or glue around the perimeter, and it will not interfere with the overlay piece. So it gives us a little air gap there for staple and fabric, because there'll be staples and fabric on both sides of this, so that way that will hide all that, everything will lay flat, and then this will attach, which I haven't figured that out yet, but we're working on that. So you'll end up with a door panel that is, you know, about a 1/2 inch thick. So not too bad, not too heavy. Also gonna make sure you put notches there for your clips, so they'll hide nice and flush. It's easy peasy, anybody can do it. Whatever, neighbors.
Okay, so I'm trying to get the velvet lining on the door panels finished. It's the end of the night, I look like garbage. I'm just trying to get something done so I can go drink whiskey.
Yes. We're there. All right, so now that we got panel laid out here, and we got it all set, Laura went ahead and installed her velvet here. I think she calls this ruching. I call it, I don't know, foldy stuff, whatever. But it's in there with a little bit of cotton behind it. So then I cut this piece here to fit. Then as this overlays, you start to add the texture. So that'll be there. This will be the green vinyl, and this will be, you know, attached down there. So it'll be multiple layers. So now the next step is to start pattern on my foam here, and we'll sew that up. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the fabric pattern out here. So these are my 2 test pieces. So this piece here I sewed with just over a piece of 1/2 inch foam unglued, and it lays down sort of a more rounded pleat in there. I'm not sure if you can see that. There's that. Then I have this version, which I actually took and cut a V into the foam and then glued the foam down in there, folded a couple times, and then stitched it. And you see this has more of a structured V shape into it. So this is what we want to go for. Much tighter, much cleaner. Yeah, so sticking with the square pattern here, we bought these little buttons with little skulls on them. So those will all fall in there in all the spots. So I think that is going to be a fantastic look. So then just taking a simple razor blade, I'm going to take and cut a V into the foam. Not too big, maybe like a 1/2 inch or so. So doing this does a couple of things. So if you're doing this at home and you don't have a walking foot sewing machine, this will allow you to sew pleats with a regular sewing machine with pretty good results. I'm going to end it with just a V in there about like that. Alright, so our next course of action is to start sewing this sucker together. So I got it just lightly glued. So I just need to mark out my lines, and we'll throw that sucker through the sewing machine. yes, trying to thread a needle with a hot dog finger is not so easy. All right, so there we go. Got that all done. That is starting to look like something. The next thing is to put all the fasteners in here so this will actually hold down, and then we can staple and glue this in place, and then we'll wrap the trim here. All right, so glued that all down, threw a couple staples in just for good measure. Now it's time to do this guy. This here I'm making is cording that will go on the edge to trim everything out. Now I can do it with this sewing machine here. If I just change up from the larger foot to the smaller foot and then just feed it through, it's actually pretty effective. As you can see, it does make it nice and tight. The console, it's actually got a special foot to do it, but this machine does not, so you have to sort of work around it. But I'm kind of doing this in terms of assuming that, you know, you may not have a professional machine at your house. So one of these little smaller ones, you can actually do a lot on them. So don't be afraid to try things with the equipment that you got. Once I do this piece, I'll switch over to the large one because I have it. But you know, show and tell. This is just a 2-inch piece of vinyl. This is a piece of 1/8-inch plastic cord. You can buy this any upholstery shop, or I used to use rope. In fact, I still use rope to do like the larger welting around door panels or around like door frames and stuff. It seems to work really well, but you can, you know, if you think outside the box, you can do all kinds of different things with the random junk you find at the hardware store. So where there's a will, there's a way. And a credit card anyway. And what this does is this is a nice accent piece for the edge here. So now that I got that, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this with foam and vinyl. So before I put the foam on there, I need to drill for all these little screws. These are what I'm going to use to attach this. So I'll just drill through, put a little nut on the back, and then grind it off there. That way this panel can attach to this panel without any real, you know, glue or anything. I mean, I guess you could probably technically use glue if you wanted to, but I don't want to yet. First I have to glue foam to it, glue the vinyl to it, fold it in on the inside portion here, then leave the outside unfolded, attach this permanently, and then I will wrap it around, staple to the back so it'll look like one cohesive piece. And in theory, it should all work. At least it does in my head anyhow. Yeah. So they just go through, stick it about yay far, and I'll grind that off when I'm done. We'll be putting the foam over it, and that is enough to cover that. You won't even feel it or see it. I'm just gonna glue it all up here. Gonna install these back in first. So I just need to cut away some of the unneeded foam here. Being extra careful not to cut through my vinyl. I think on the next panel, I think I'll glue everything together as opposed to using screws. I'm somewhat committed on this one now. You know, because essentially it's wood to wood, so there's no reason why I can't use wood glue to put this whole thing together. But, you know, you do have some commitment, because once it's together, it doesn't come apart. So maybe you want to play a little bit before you commit. Alright, so now it's just a matter of trim out the extra vinyl to about 1 inch all the way around. That way you got something to pull over and staple. Clean razor blade and get going. Alright, now that that's done, it's a matter of just trimming off the extra stuff and it's assembled. I haven't put the green cording on yet. I think I'm going to wait and change it out to chrome, so I'm not going to fully assemble this yet at the moment, but you'll have an idea what we're doing here. Alright, clean the humidity off the lens there. Alright, so now before we wrap the vinyl over, we need to install our door clips in those little slots that we made earlier. Right there. So just pop that guy in there, providing we did it correctly. Now you can just wrap everything over, staple it, and we will be done. Cut that out of the way there. I'm not going to completely staple together because I still have to disassemble to change that cording to the chrome, so this will be a simulated version. But bum, bum, bum. Yes, it's magical. Still need to do a little cleanup on some other stuff, and I'll do that when I do the final assembly, but you certainly at this point get the idea of how to make a door panel. So hopefully this helps you in the future. I got, I don't know, 4 more to make of these things, so I better learn to get good at it. So anyways, thanks for watching, and please subscribe.